Good morning. Today's such a good day. I'm so excited today. I don't know why. I don't know why I said that. I couldn't tell you why. I'm just in a good mood. I want to ask you a question, rhetorical question. Just think of it in your head. What is one of the most amazing things you've ever seen? That type of thing where you see it and it's something that's so breathtaking, so awe-inspiring. You stare at it in amazement. You're just in awe of nature, of creation, whatever it may be. A lot of people say they get that type of feeling where they're stopped in their tracks the first time they set foot and they stare at the Grand Canyon. Or some people say it's even the 100th time they stare at the Grand Canyon. I don't know. I've never been to the Grand Canyon, but I guess it's a big deal. But I do remember when I've had a moment like that. We've all had moments like that. And I'll never forget the very first time that happened to me, that sense of awe, that sense of amazement. I was I was in 9th grade, 10th grade, something like that, so about 14-ish, somewhere in there. I was about 14 years old. And our parish priest at the time took the high school youth group to a skiing trip in the Rockies, Salt Lake City, Utah, out there past there, that mountain chain there, the Rockies and all that. And I remember we used to go every year. It was awesome. Loved it. One night, this particular skiing lodge that we were at, they allowed for night skiing. And I remember one night a few of us decided to give that a try. So we get in the ski lift, we go to the top of the mountain, we ride to the top, we get off. And if you ever get to the top of the mountain, you know, if you ever go skiing or hiking or whatever, and you get up to the very summit of something, you're above the tree line, everything opens up, you just the landscape, the scenery, that in itself is breathtaking. You can see in miles for every direction. Well, you can't see any of that at night. You don't see any of that stuff. But what I did see when I got off the ski lift, I looked up and I saw the most spectacular thing to this day that I think I've ever seen. And I've only ever seen it twice. And it's the first time I saw in fullness the Milky Way. It's amazing if you've never seen it. Pictures do not do it justice. And the only way I could describe it to somebody who's never seen it fully is it's as if someone took a salt shaker and spilled it on a black satin tablecloth and then took their fingers, their hands, and just swirled it all around. It is breathtakingly overwhelming. And in that moment at 14, I realized how infinitely small I was and how immense God is. And it felt like in that moment, even at 14, it felt like this feeling, this veil between the Creator and creation was pulled back just ever so slightly. And for the briefest moment, it was like I could see behind the scenes of creation itself. And at 14 years old, you're staring into this never-ending sea of possibility. And your mind races, your mind wanders, imagination goes wild, and you're wondering, what type of worlds are up there? What's up there? Who's up there? At 44, I think, who's up there? Even still, And it's just, you realize the infinite, endless possibilities of creation. And it's amazing. It was the kind of moment that you never want to end. I could have stood there. The last thing on my mind at that point was skiing. I could have stood there all night and watched that. Today, brothers and sisters, Peter, James, and John have an experience like that. This awe-inspiring, breathtaking moment. But theirs is far, far greater than a star-filled sky. And the metaphor of the veil between us and the Creator is not a metaphor for them. The veil between heaven and earth for them today in the Transfiguration is literally pulled back. And for the first time, these three disciples, these three men, come to know exactly who Christ is, who this person is that they've been following. In this moment, they see their teacher, not just as a rabbi, not just some miracle worker who can do some neat party tricks while we're traveling, not just a prophet who happens to be better than the rest. They come to now know that the man they've been following, this flesh and blood human being, is God himself. That this man is the radiant Son of God. But they don't realize it instantly. The Transfiguration didn't bring that realization immediately to them. Because what happens? So in the very moment when this happens, Elijah, Moses, they appear, right? Jesus starts to shine like the sun. And what does Peter do? bless his heart. Peter, he's such a good man. His heart's in the right place. It really is. He says, Lord, it's good that we're here. Look at you and your friends. Let's build 3 tents. Let's build 3 tents. Now, what's he really saying? Right? Like I said, his heart's right. What he's saying, though, is he's recognizing that this is significant, that there's something special, something awe-inspiring happening, and I want to stay here. I want this moment to last, to never end. I want you to dwell here. Let's build a tent, a dwelling. I want to dwell here with you, with me. Let's stretch this out as long as we can because something is happening here. Like I said, his heart is in the right place. That's where it should be. His understanding, not quite there yet. Because what's the implication? Let's build 3 tents. We'll build one for Moses, one for Elijah, and we'll even build one for you, Jesus. He's putting Jesus on equal footing with these prophets. Because Peter doesn't understand yet. Even with the glory of God shining before him, he doesn't fully see it yet. Until what happens? Then God the Father speaks and things change. He says, this is my beloved Son, listen to him. This is my beloved Son, listen to him. And what's happening here? When God the Father speaks, why is things different? Because now, when God the Father speaks, we're done. We're done with parables. We're done with stories. We're done with metaphor. We're done with the ambiguity, the riddles. No. You 3 still don't get it? Let me explain it in words you will understand. This is my Son. Listen to him. There's no mistaking what he means here. And in that moment, he's saying to Peter, he's saying to the disciples, this isn't some prophet among others. He's not equal to these people you want to build tents for, these prophets you admire. He's not comparable to anyone you've ever known or heard about. He's saying, this is my Son. This is God. This is the great I am standing before you. And in that moment, the disciples fall to the ground in fear. Why? Why are they afraid now? It makes no sense to be afraid now. You think about who these men are. Think about what they've seen. These men have seen what they thought was a man. They're not realizing he's the Son of God yet, but they've seen him walk on water. They've seen him magically create food, fish, and bread out of thin air. They've seen him cure the blind, the sick, the lepers, the deaf, the mute, all of these great things. They've seen all this. They've even seen him cast out demons. What does that imply? If I've cast out demons, it means they've seen him stand face to face with Satan himself. They're even right now, they're watching these 2 guys been dead for thousands of years appear to them. None of this phases them. They've never been afraid of any of these things. And now you're going to tell me that all of a sudden a disembodied voice from the clouds starts talking and now I'm scared? I don't think so. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't even seem to rank in the top 10 of most amazing things we've seen this guy do. So why are they afraid? Why drop to their knees in fear? Because now, brothers and sisters, because now they understand. When God says, this is my Son, listen to him, there's no more ambiguity. Like I said, no more parable. Now they have an understanding. And in that understanding, it's a fear and a humility that brings them to the ground. They understand now that the person they've been walking beside, the person who's done all this, it was not just someone sent by God, that he is God. And everything in the past is now racing through their minds. Every conversation they've ever had with him. Oh my goodness, that was God I was talking to. I can't believe I said that. It's true, right? Everything they've done and seen is now racing through their heads through a whole new lens. And in that moment, They have finally realized how small they are, how small their understanding has been, and how often they've reduced him to just a friend, another teacher, just a great prophet among many. How often they misunderstood his very words. God was talking to me, and I wasn't paying attention. They're humbled by this. They might even be embarrassed by it. I would be. Maybe they should be. Their God, our God, the great I am, the God of their fathers, of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, and Elijah, who are there right now, is now with them. No longer appearing in some burning bush in the woods, no longer as a pillar of fire and smoke leading their people out of Egypt to the promised land. No, now he's walking hand in hand right beside us. Never has God done this as intimately since Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve, not in the flesh and blood, let's be theologically correct here, but in the garden he walked with Adam and Eve. There was a separation, there was the fall, there was a separation between us and him. Never has he been as intimate with us as he was when Christ came and walked with them side by side. Here he is, walking with them. That's who this is. And we never even saw him. What kind of Jew am I? I thought I was special. This rabbi, this teacher, he chose us. And we don't even know that God was right beside us. So many thoughts must be racing through these three men's heads right now. And maybe part of the fear is a fear of retribution. Maybe they're afraid that God's going to smite them, right? Burn them up, hit them with lightning, whatever, for this massive mistake that's brought them to their knees. Of course, Jesus has much different plans, greater plans. Because what happens next is that when Jesus does something really remarkable, he doesn't rebuke them, he doesn't chastise them, he comes to them, he approaches them, and he touches them. But wait, what happens before he touches them? Let's read between the lines, because this is important. If they fall to the ground in fear, what does that mean? When you fall to the ground on your knees in prayer, in adoration, what are you doing? You're looking up, you're praying, you're adoring. Maybe you're on a kneeler like this or something. You're upright. There's a posture of prayer as you're putting yourself up to God, to Christ. It says he touches them. If you're in a posture on your knees of fear, that's not a posture of prayer, is it? That's not, I'm on my knees, oh, I'm so afraid of you. No, I'm terrified. I'm on my knees. I don't even think they were on their knees. I think they were on their face. They hit the ground in fear. What is a grown man who's so afraid? What's he going to do when he hits the ground? I picture three grown men laying in the fetal position, making themselves as small as possible, covering themselves because they're afraid. That's fear, not adoration and prayer. So when it says Christ touches them, what does that mean? He comes to them. If they were kneeling there in adoration, if you were kneeling right here on this kneeler, I could come down to you and touch your shoulder. I could put my hand on your shoulder. But if you were so terrified of me that you're on your face on the ground covered up, and I want to come put my hand on your shoulder, what do I got to do? I got to kneel down. I got to come to you. God the Father, God humbled himself to become like us in flesh and blood, in the birth, in the incarnation. He came down to our level. And today at the Transfiguration, he does the same thing. In these men's fear, Christ himself bends, the Son of God, bends the knee before three men and brings himself into the dirt, into their struggle, into their fear, lays his hand on them, and he says, "Rise, do not be afraid." Those 5 words are so telling. He's saying with those words, rise, do not be afraid. He says, I was with you when you didn't know me. I stayed with you when you failed over and over again to recognize me. I kept teaching you when you wouldn't listen to me or you didn't understand me. I kept on over and over trying to help you get it. You couldn't see me right beside you, and I never left you. Rise and do not be afraid. In other words, I'm not going to chastise you. I'm not going to punish you. I'm not going to leave you now that your eyes are finally open, now that your ears are open, now that you know who I am. I'm not going to stop walking with you now, right? Now that you know me, now that you see me, don't be afraid. Don't worry. I'm still here with you. Now that you get it, come on, baby, let's go. The party's really about to get started now. He's got to be so stoked that these three guys finally get it. He's been trying to teach these and tell these men this constantly. Now they see it. Don't be afraid. Get up. Let's go. I imagine that it must have broke our Lord's heart to then tell them, you get it. Now don't tell anybody till I come back from the dead. There were still things that had to be done, right? They couldn't come down preaching all that. But he had to be so excited that they finally got it. In other words, he's saying, I'm not going to chastise you. I'm here with you. Brothers and sisters, how often are we like Peter? How often do we relegate Christ to a category that could never possibly contain him? A title that doesn't begin to describe him in his fullness. A habit, a box to check, a quick prayer before we move on with our day. Do we realize how little we understand at times? Or does our pride and our arrogance keep us thinking, oh, I've got it figured out. I know who God is. I know where he's at in my life, right? We got an understanding. I don't need to go to church. We have an understanding. No, you need to be here. And I realize I'm preaching to the choir because you're all here. But we say, brothers and sisters, we say we believe in him. But do we see him? Do we build him a tent for a few minutes in the morning and then move on with our day, with things we have to do? Because that's what we think, right? That's what we're told. We should start our day with prayer. We should start our day with Jesus. So let me build a tent in the morning. I'll spend some time with you, and then I'll go about my business. Not even realizing, and this will sound weird coming from your priest from the pulpit, but not even realizing that, guess what? Your day shouldn't start with Jesus. You get it? No. That's okay. I'll explain before somebody gets me fired. The day doesn't start with Jesus. He was up and about and with you before you ever opened your eyes. It doesn't start with Jesus because that implies that we're going to move on from that we're done with that. He's not the start of the day. He's the focus of the entire day. The day, right? The day starts and he's there. He was already there. He's currently there. He'll always be there. Peter knew enough, at least in the moment, before he fell in fear. He knew enough to want to stay in the moment, right? That this was significant. How many of us do the same, right? Instead of just starting the day with God, how many of us say that we want to begin our day wanting to remain with God in his presence all day long? As soon as he says, this is my son, listen to him. All these things must be going through their head. They're reliving everything through a whole new lens. Do we do that? Does everything we think, say, our choices, our conversations, are they all filtered through the lens of knowing that Christ is standing right there with me? Think about every conversation you've had this past week. Would you want Christ to be there as a part of it? My guess is there's a few you'd be like, maybe not that one. Well, guess what? He was there. He was a part of it. When we realize, brothers and sisters, like Peter, how often we sometimes miss the mark, that we miss Christ in our life right beside us. We realize how often we reduce him to something lesser than the Son of God, or we treat the Son of God as an accessory to our life instead of the center of our life. We come to that realization that we do this all the time, really, But when we do, when we realize it, how do we respond? What do we do? Because the only response you can give is to fall to your knees, not in despair, not in hopelessness, but in humble, holy fear. It's okay to have this fear. Now, here's the good news, okay? So we're not going to end this on, oh, Father's got me scared to death when I leave church today. No. That's not how this works. The good news, if we are as blind or as obtuse as Peter is at times, if in this story we're putting ourselves as Peter, if we're Peter, then who's Jesus today? That's the good news. Jesus is still Jesus. So his response to us is the same as it was to Peter and these disciples. And so when you realize like Peter that we've missed that mark, that we maybe not given God the proper reverence, right? Or that we haven't understood, and we drop to our knees in that fear of, oh, I can't believe I've done ... What happens? He comes to you. He kneels down with you. He enters into your pain, your suffering, into your fear. Wherever you are in life, that's where he's coming down into. And he touches you, he holds you, and he says, rise and do not be afraid. Do not worry. Because now that you see, that you understand, you know I am still with you. And I'm not leaving you. I'm here with you now. I was always with you. I'm here with you now, and I'll be with you always. Now you see me. Let's go. Let's go. He's excited. Because you don't have to keep it a secret like they did. The transfiguration, it's not about spectacle. It's not about Christ showing off his own glory. It's about revelation and clarity. It's about seeing clearly who Jesus is and where he is in our life. And when we're brought to our knees in holy fear, and I'll be clear, fear of God is not the same as being afraid of God. There's a huge difference. Do not be afraid of God. That's silly. That's silly. God is love. John says this. He is infinite. His mercy and love are infinite, and his mercy is unconditional. His love is unconditional. Do you know what unconditional means? It means he loves you and he'll show you mercy no matter what. No matter what. Well, Father, what if... No, stop talking. No, yes, you get it. Well, but what if I do... No, you get it too. Well, what about... I don't want to hear the rest of the sentence. Unconditional means just that. Unconditional love and mercy. How could you possibly be afraid of that? Are you afraid to be loved? Well, okay, maybe that's a psychiatrist question. Yeah. You can go pay $250 an hour to get that one answered, I guess. You shouldn't be. He's here. This is what this is about. So it's not about fear of punishment. It's a fear, it's a fear of losing the clarity that we now have of who Jesus is. The fear of the moment not lasting forever. Because I'm afraid I don't want to go back to who I was. Now that I see you, now that I know you, I don't want to go back to not having that. And that's the fear. Holy fear is not about being afraid of God. It's about being afraid we will miss God. That divine clarity of who Christ is, our relationship with him, our place in his role, our role in his plan, his love, his patience for us, all these things. This is the type of clarity that only holy fear and humility can bring to us. The transfiguration is about coming to that clarity within you. It's about learning that the one who reveals his glory to you is the same one who bends down with you, touches you, raises you up. The same one who shines as radiant as the sun in front of Peter today. The same one who created this awe-inspiring cosmos that captured the mind of a 14-year-old little boy so many years ago. It's coming to have clarity and faith to know. Listen to me. Faith to know. Faith is the belief in the unseen. Knowledge is knowing something to be true because you've experienced it, you've seen it. When you've seen Christ, when your eyes and ears are open and you have that personal experience with him, your faith is elevated. It's no longer a faith in God. It's no longer a faith in Jesus. It's a knowing of him. It's a knowledge in him and with him. Your faith is elevated. It's having this clarity to move our faith to knowledge of God. That in our infinite smallness, our Creator, Creator of all creation, places himself in your very hands right here in communion. Have you ever thought of that? What goes through your mind when you receive communion? When you come up and you look down in your hand at that host, when you hold him in your hands, what do you see? Do you have the clarity? Do you see only bread? Or do you have the clarity, the humility, the holy fear to see the same radiant sun that stood upon that mountaintop today? Brothers and sisters, you're going to fail like Peter does. It's inevitable, right? You're going to misunderstand like Peter does. We all are. And like Peter, in that moment, Jesus himself is going to come to you. He's going to touch you. He's going to change you, tell you to rise and be not afraid. And when that happens, then like Peter, your heart is going to burn with love for God in ways you could never imagine. And you're going to want to stay in that moment forever. But unlike Peter, you will not build tents. I mean, you don't really look that excited about building a tent anyway, so I don't think it's a problem. You're not going to build tents. My flock, my people, you will not build tents for Jesus. Instead, you will build a temple for him. I want you to build temples for him when you see him, when you experience him, and you place that temple within the center of your heart, your life. And in that temple, you meet him, and you see him over and over again. And in that temple, your prayers are finally answered. And that moment of clarity with Christ, that moment that you cherish with awe-inspiring love of God, is finally able to last for eternity. And so let's pray for that graces today, brothers and sisters. Pray for that humble, holy fear, that we may have the clarity to see Christ in our lives always.